How long are we supposed to wait? It's been over an hour.
I'm sure it's fine, Grace. I doubt the Minotaur would break his promise. Say, what'd I tell you?
Whew. You still here? I'm sorry. Kate had a lot to say.
Everything's okay, I hope?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was so wonderful. Kate just wanted to talk about feelings and that, which, well, neither of us are good at. Right, so, I suppose you want to know how Calliope broke into the reliquary that night.
She did what?
No, we didn't know anything about that. Do you mean the night she died?
Oh, well, I thought you already knew. Yeah, the night Calliope died, she broke in somehow. Thing is, we know she didn't take anything or even touch anything. I just remember the alarms, and I chased after her.
Did you say the reliquary has alarms? Like burglar alarms, cameras?
Oh, no, nothing like that. It just has a lot of protections. You know, magic.
I don't know magic, actually.
Oh, well, it's just meant to keep the dangerous stuff from being touched. It was set off, so something happened in the reliquary. We just, don't know what exactly.
Those alarms don't go off if someone breaks into the reliquary? They don't detect intruders?
Well, normally nobody does that.
Well, Calliope did. She got in somehow.
Well, she must have snuck in the back way. Where do you think I keep running from? Whatever Calliope did here, it was enough to set off the alarms. That's all I know.
You chased Calliope, but did you ever catch up with her?
No. If I'd have caught her, I'd have brought her back and Kate would have gotten answers out of her. All I know is that she was hurt, bleeding bad, but I don't know why. I wanted to help her, but she got away in the fog. Then I ran into Medusa.
Wait, what? Medusa? Here?
Yeah. Well, she's not normally here. I think maybe she was chasing after Calliope too.
How could Calliope have been wounded?
I don't know. Maybe Medusa did it. Probably not, though. You know, I never saw Medusa near the reliquary, just out in the fog, so she never even got that close.
So whatever happened to Calliope happened inside the reliquary?
I guess. But we don't have anything that would attack anyone. Especially not an idol.
So someone else. But they did it inside the reliquary.
If so, they vanished after.
How do you know Calliope didn't touch or take anything?
Kate knows everything in the reliquary, right down to the last book. She's been looking, but she can't figure if anything was touched. It makes her so mad not to know. And it made Athena pretty mad too.
Athena got involved?
Yeah, when Kate finally told her, Athena wants Kate to keep investigating, but it doesn't look good.
Athena knows what happened here the night Calliope died?
Yeah, Kate told her a day or so later, I think. We didn't know Calliope died that night, though.
What? Athena didn't mention it?
Nope. Not that that's weird. She's, well, she's not the chatty type, you know? She came in all quiet and cool, wanted to know who was here that night and what Calliope might have wanted. She swore Kate to silence. Not me, though. Guess she's not as smart as Kate.
What relics are there? Maybe Calliope was looking for one, but couldn't find it before...
Yeah, that I'm not supposed to say.
Do you have the golden fleece, the shield of Zeus, the sword of Damocles? Is it suspended?
You know a lot about that stuff for a mortal.
So it's all real?
I can neither confirm nor deny any of that. All I know is that nothing got used and nothing got taken.
What was Medusa doing here?
She was chasing after Calliope too, I think, but she wouldn't say why. I asked.
Seems pretty convenient. Her just out there suddenly.
Yeah, that part's weird. I've never seen her near the reliquary before.
Couldn't Medusa have broken in like Calliope did?
Yeah, but I chased Calliope from the reliquary. If Medusa had been there, I would have seen her.
This means Calliope came here the night she died. This is where she was attacked.
But we don't know by whom.
Well, this is the second time Medusa's name has come up. That can't be a coincidence.
Well, she's super scary, but, you know she works for Athena, right? I thought maybe that's why she was here, but Athena said she didn't know about it.
That does seem suspicious.
If that's all you need, then I have to go. Kate will be so mad if she finds me gone. Good luck, Muse.
You okay there, friendo?
I just can't help but feel like I'm missing something right in front of me.
How so?
Calliope came here for a reason. Why? Someone has to know because they knew she was here.
True.
And Athena knows what went down here. She can't honestly still think it was me, can she?
One thing at a time, Grace. You'll figure it out. I know you will.
I guess so. Next thing is to go back to Pan. Tell him his favor is done.
What an adventure.
Sorry?
You're just lucky, Grace. Luckier than you think. You go do what you have to, and I'll meet you back at the apartment, okay?
Pan! I hope you're here, because I don't know where else to look for you.
Of course I'm here, Grace. Where else would I be but amongst the trees and the wild things? I really must thank you, by the by. Asterion is simply over the moon, and he's already repaid me with this select tome from the reliquary.
That's why you did all this? Because you wanted some book?
Not just some book, but a tome from the forbidden depths.
I doubt Hecate would be pleased.
Oh, most assuredly not. Neither would Athena, which makes it all the more delicious. I trust you got what you needed. More grist for the mill of your innocence, as it were.
You already knew I would, right?
Oh? Did I?
Come on, Pan. How stupid do you think I am? The place you sent me for this favor just happens to be where Calliope was attacked. You had to know I'd discover that. If you wanted me to know, why not just tell me? What's the angle? Tell me why I shouldn't be suspicious, Pan.
You have no reason to be suspicious. I know nothing of what happened to Calliope at the reliquary. I suppose the question at the heart of this is, do you believe me?
Give me a reason to believe you, Pan.
You want the ever-elusive proof. If I had that to offer, do you think I would hesitate to share it? Alas, it is my burden to be forever condemned by my idle brethren. I've become accustomed to it. Truly. I've never lied to you, Grace, and I never shall. If you're looking for innocence, however, well, I'm afraid that's one thing I cannot provide.
And if I can't accept that? If I find out you're somehow involved in this?
You'll do what you do, and I'll do what I do, and we'll see where that takes us.
That's my cue to go, isn't it?
If you must. There are always alternatives, you know. You could live the high life, Grace. Throw caution to the wind. Embrace what you can before you...
Before I die? You don't have any hope for me, do you? You're just taking what you can get before it's over.
I've seen this story many times, Grace. I've told this story many times. And it always ends the same way.
What's the point of even getting to know me then? Right?
Back from your visit to the reliquary?
How did you know I was there?
Athena was ranting about it when I left her. She's none too pleased about you breaking the rules. Let's hope what you learned was worth it. Medusa was at the reliquary that night. You don't intend to confront her directly, do you?
You think I shouldn't? How else will I find out why she was there?
There's always a way, Grace. Asking someone directly isn't the only method. Still, while I hate to say it, confronting Medusa may be your best option.
You could come with me when I talk to her.
Trust me, if I'm anywhere within a mile, she'll have vanished by the time you so much as knock on her door. Just lie to me and say you'll be careful. On a different matter, I've had time to do some thinking. I may have been too dismissive after Aphrodite's party. You no doubt have many questions about the Eidolon and Calliope's memories.
Apollo told me a little about it. He did say I should talk to you, though.
Did he now? Is there anything you'd like to ask?
When all these memories start to return, will I feel different?
First, you'll have dreams. Places you've never been, people you've never met. But unlike with normal dreams, these will linger. Then they will come while you're awake. Sudden flashes or snippets of déjà vu. And sometimes it will seem so real you'll swear you're hallucinating. If there's anything difficult about the process, is that it becomes hard to differentiate between your life and all these other lives you're now recalling.
It does sound confusing.
Confusing and often unpleasant, as not all the memories will be fond ones. But that will pass in time.
You said it becomes hard to differentiate your life from the others. How hard, exactly? It'll still be me, right?
Oh, how do I explain this? Grace, would you say that you are who you are because of your experiences? The things you've lived and done?
I guess so, sure.
Well, all the things Calliope has done, and those before her, will now be yours. They will feel like a part of your life as well. Thus, they can't help but shape you. The Grace that is now will be and will have done so much more. Fortunately, you don't have to deal with every memory. Each time the Eidolon passes on, the oldest memories fade, and that helps.
Wait, how is it good that old memories start to fade?
Think of how old we are, Grace. If all those memories returned to you with perfect clarity, they would destroy you.
Yeah, but doesn't that mean you've all forgotten so much?
Well, far more than we remember. The further I think back, the more it becomes a bit of a blur, actually. You'll recall important moments. Some will be mixed up with the stories mortals tell, and you won't be sure which is the memory and which is the story. An idol's memory is a series of islands in a dark ocean, and they become smaller and smaller as they recede into the horizon. It sounds dire, but you become accustomed to it. It just takes time. And now you have all the time in the world.
How many times have you died. Can I ask that?
We call it passing on. I've lost track of just how many times I've passed on my Eidolon. A dozen? It's happened less often in more recent eras.
And the one you told me about, the woman married to that gangster? She was the most recent?
I don't think of Chastity as a she. That was me, just as the one my husband blasted with a shotgun was also me. It was one of the few times I wasn't able to prepare my successor. We were friends, yes, but I didn't know what Persephone was, and I had no idea what I'd just become.
That must have been difficult.
It was more difficult taking over my dead husband's territory. Women weren't often mobsters in those days.
Were you really a gangster? I've heard it said, but it sounds...
Let me put it this way. I felt as if I'd been blessed by a dying woman who saved me from a prison of my own making. I didn't know what I was, but I was free. I felt more alive than I'd ever felt before, and strong enough to toss an ox 10 feet. Did I set out to become a mobster? Not exactly. My husband's friends thought I'd murdered him, however, so they came after me. And one thing led to another.
Oh, I see.
Athena found me just as my memories were starting to return. I wasn't permitted to continue doing something so noticeable, so I was carted off to Olympus. It's too bad, really. I was an excellent mobster.
Wait, you said that Persephone passed on her Eidolon as she lay dying. What if she had just died?
The Eidolon will keep us alive for a time, even in the most horrific circumstances, in hopes that there's someone to pass it on to.
What if there isn't? What if Chastity had died before you were shot?
Then the line of Persephone would have ended then and there. Oh, there are some stories that say an Eidolon will go wandering, that it never really dies. Who knows if there's any truth to that? It's not exactly something we've had the opportunity to study. All we know is that many idols have left us forever. They've died, and that's how it happens.
It's a lot to consider. Assuming I'll even have time to worry about it, what with the trial coming.
Either the trial will end poorly, in which case all of this is moot, or it will end well, and you will have plenty of time to digest.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
I'm a realist, Grace. It's what I'm best at. Now then, unless you've something else to ask.
Tell me more about Calliope. You and her were good friends, right?
We were.
And
if you had told me a decade ago that I would become close to one of the muses, I would have laughed in your face. I always considered them Apollo's creatures. Calliope, Clio, and Talia. Vapid, frivolous gods who handed off their Eidolon to any artist who took their fancy. Every time I met one of them, they were someone else. Apollo called them the Sisters of Beauty, no matter their gender. Can you imagine that? That's such a stupid name.
I never thought of that. Do idols change gender a lot?
Well, we tend to seek out successors like ourselves, but it happens. With the muses, it happened frequently. Everywhere Apollo went, they surrounded him like a gaggle of ducklings, just like him to gather his own fans.
If you disliked the muses so much, how did you end up becoming friends with Calliope?
She sought me out. She'd become more and more unhappy on Olympus, so she decided to leave just as I had, long before. Calliope asked for my help, and I laughed in her face. Go ask one of your sycophant mortals, I told her. I mean, surely one of them has some threadbare couch you can sleep on.
Wow.
Typically, she was undeterred. She didn't just want a place to stay. She said she wanted to learn how to be truly independent from an idol who had mastered it. What can I say? I mean, I am a sucker for a well-timed compliment. I took her in. Apollo was furious. He and Calliope were barely speaking, but he was certain she'd come crawling back to Olympus. Oh, it made taking her in all the sweeter.
After you took Calliope in, that's when you became friends?
Oh, no, not right away. I wasn't looking for a friend. What I was looking for was an opening act in the club. Calliope entertained here for years, and then eventually turned from performing to attracting new acts. She was in her element. She and I, we warmed up to each other eventually. She was more capable than I expected, and I adored her furious rants.
Calliope didn't seem like the furious type when I met her. That's hard to picture.
Oh, then you didn't really meet her. She was an idealist, and nobody could ever quite live up to her standards for very long. Her brothers and sisters, least of all. The idols needed to change, she said. They were withering away in the shadows, diminished and unwilling to save their own skins. When I joined the chorus, she expected me to change everything, as if I could single-handedly override Athena. I was to be her champion, and together we would bring revolution to the idols. Well, I was yet another disappointment. She left the club, but I gave her a place to live. We were supposed to stay in touch, but you know how it went from there.
What happened to the other muses? You mentioned 2 others. Were they lost in the war?
One of them was, though not like you think. The day we were to leave on the ship, Talia simply never showed up.
Do you know what happened to her?
We never heard from her again. Apollo thrashed about in mourning, but, Talia had been fading away for years. It wasn't a surprise to the rest of us.
What about the other muse, Cleo?
Died long before. A victim at the hands of a mortal man, when she no longer possessed the power to bedazzle him. As I understand it, he kept her in a cage as a pet until her eidolon shriveled up and perished. He was dead before she was.
Ugh, that's pretty dark.
Yes, well, we come by our wariness of mortals honestly, Grace.
I'd like to know a little more about the idols. I am one now, right?
What constitutes a little more in this instance?
Well, what are we? Where did we come from? If an idol is a soul that moves from person to person, it must have started somewhere, right?
Ah, the big question. To which the answer is, nobody knows. I remember the original Persephone only vaguely. Indeed, I'm not even certain she was the original. Was there something before her? How did she get her eidolon? I couldn't tell you. Evidently, we wrote little down in those early days, or were forbidden to, and our memories only stretch back so far. Anything beyond that simply isn't.
Psst. Isn't it strange to not know where you come from? For all you know, the idols could be aliens.
Aliens? Grace, you watch too many movies.
Gods are okay, but aliens are just wacky fiction.
Fine, yes. It is strange. No, our earliest days aren't the only blanks in our memories, however. We have many. And the last was the day Zeus called us all together to tell us Rome had fallen and we should prepare for war. But did that war occur? I couldn't tell you. The last thing I remember after Rome was 1,000 years later, in the 16th century. I was in a different body, feeling as if no time at all had passed. Athena calls that period the gap. And that's what it feels like. All of us experienced it, and not one of us knows why or how.
The gap you mentioned. What was that like? Did you just wake up one day, or...?
I wasn't asleep. I lived. I had lives. I passed on my eidolon. I may have known who I was and what I was, but perhaps I was completely unaware. All I know is that one day Athena came to my nunnery, near Trieste, I think. The moment that I saw her, all the old memories came flooding back. My life during the gap was wiped away in an instant, and it never returned. If someone did that to us, they were powerful indeed.
What about Athena? I mean, she's the one who found you, right? She must have been aware.
Athena woke up on her own, or so she claims, and spent the next century rounding up those idols who remained. Zeus, however, was gone. What became of him, what happened in Rome, we've never pieced it together. It's troubling.
Tell me more about the war. It seems to have had a huge effect on all of you.
That's putting it mildly.
From Aphrodite's song, I know Ares betrayed everyone. What did you do?
Honestly, after my mother was murdered, I barely remember.
Your mother?
Her name was Demeter. Not truly my mother, but an idol who had always cared for me since the early days. I thought we'd be together forever. And Ares brought those filthy bastards down on us. Demeter was slain by bullets. Until that day, I had believed we were untouchable.
Why would Ares do that? Did he get anything out of it in the end, or...?
What he got was a final death. A few of us hunted him down and made sure he paid for his betrayal. He choked on his own blood. As for why he did it, who knows? He thought us a lost cause. He wanted glory. He wanted more than we had, living in secret. After that, I don't know. We went from hiding place to hiding place. I didn't even know what Hephaestus had done for us when I found myself on a boat. We might have been gods once, but after the war, we were just refugees, like so many others, fleeing to a distant land.
Was it hard for the idols to come to the New World? It's just a place like any other, isn't it?
Well, it wasn't the place that was hard, it was the fear. We knew we were vulnerable. We knew mortals could and would kill us. Suddenly, there were rules. We had to be secret. We had to stay close together. We huddled in the shadows and quaked each time the mortals so much as breathed in our direction. We couldn't all live that way. Some of us drifted away, faded into the night without so much as an explanation. That's what's been the hard part. Our inevitable decline in a place where we don't belong. We can pass on our eidolons as often as we like, but it will never truly be home.
That's all I can think of for now. I'll see you around.
Oh yes, that's where I'll be. Around.